Special Report. Thailand Rescue. Race Against Time.
Hello from New York, I'm Dan Harris alongside Paula Ferris, and we are coming on the air with some great news about the rescue operation to save members of that young soccer team and their coach trapped in a cave in Thailand for more than 2 weeks.
And this was the scene just outside the cave where it's already Sunday night as 4 of the players were brought to safety just a few hours ago in what's been a complicated and risky operation.
They were taken to the hospital by ambulance and by helicopter. They're now being evaluated and treated.
The boys ranging in ages 11 to 16 were extracted at a pace much faster than expected.
It's really an incredible development. Divers had been standing by to make this rescue. They started the operation overnight. They started bringing the first boys out late last night, Thailand time, which was early this morning here, U.S. time. They came, those boys, from nearly 3 miles deep inside that cave.
And we want to show you a virtual view of the treacherous route that the divers took them through in an operation that will continue in the hours to come. Again, 4 have been rescued, 8 remain along with their soccer coach.
So let's go to ABC's Matt Gutman on the scene in Chiang Rai, Thailand. Matt, what are you hearing now?
It was a stupendous day for these people, Dan and Paula. So what they're doing right now is trying to regroup, and you may be able to see some traffic behind me. They're setting more oxygen tanks back into that cave area. They've got to replenish the supplies. They're also now pumping additional oxygen in there. There's some concern that the oxygen levels have dipped, and we don't expect them to begin extracting additional boys, those 8 boys left plus the coach, probably for another 6 or 7 or 8 hours, not until morning. We're going to regroup and try to go at this again. Now, the way they did it, as you described, is incredibly complex. It's this sort of choreographed dance underwater in this cave, miles inside. So each one of the boys had 2 divers with him. They were conveyed along this serpentine route underground, some of it underwater, for miles. They stopped at certain chambers where there's much more air to regroup and try to assess the boys' health, and they moved on. The first one came out at about 5:40 p.m. local time. The next one came out about 20 minutes later. Then an hour and a half or so later, the other 2 boys came out, separated by about 10 minutes. And, I can tell you at this intersection here, where we've seen so much activity, there's just jubilation. There was a line of soldiers right here who saluted the rescue workers when they came out. It was such an amazing moment. But you guys have mentioned this. This is an incredibly torturous and difficult thing to do, right? So not only do they have to travel for hours on end to get through that route, but the ceiling of the cave is filled with stalactites, jagged quartz rock. They've got to deal with the water and obviously the possible fear of these boys panicking while they have these full face masks on their face. But it seems that everybody did splendidly well, and obviously those boys are now recovering at a hospital, likely suffering from some sort of exhaustion or something, but clearly a very difficult ordeal for them for the past 16 days now. Dan and Paula.
Yeah, so far, Matt, thank you. So far, it has been a best-case scenario, but they are not out of the woods yet. Let's send things over to James Longman, who's also on the ground there. And James, this continues to be a race against time. We know that they've taken a little bit of time off. 8 boys remain in that cave as well as their coach, but it's a race against time, and it looks like the rains are coming.
Yeah, that's been the whole issue from the very beginning, Paula, to beat the rain. And the whole issue is the water level in that cave. From the very start, at least when we knew that these boys were in the cave, because remember, to begin with, for the first few days of this, they were lost and there was no sign of them. But the rescuers discovered that they were there. There was real jubilation in the camp, where everyone was based. And then the realization that actually they had to be gotten out. And that the aim was to bring down the water, and that was a big problem for the last few days. Even though the camp was dry, it seemed that they weren't able to really bring it down as much as they would have liked. It was being brought down by 1 or 2 centimeters a day. They had something like 60 pumps. They had one pump had something like 400 horsepower working around the clock. They put dams in to try to get the water diverted away from the cave. It seems that water was brought out from some of the more difficult parts of the cave, and most importantly, they got rid of some of the rock which was preventing the boys from being able to come out without having to dip their head against the water. The rescuers said from the very beginning they did not want these boys to have to fully submerge themselves for extended periods of time. They wanted to bring them along the top of the water. So that was a real breakthrough. They used these underwater jackhammers to break down the rock. But now, as you can see, the rain has returned. and it's unclear what that's going to do to the situation inside the cave, if they've built enough dams to make sure that this rain won't make a difference. But remember, these caves sit under an enormous mountain range. It is basically a natural drainage system for a jungle. And all that water is seeping down into what is a limestone cave, and water comes in from all over the place. It seeps inside. So tonight, I think there will be perhaps a little bit of concern that this rain could make a difference. Hopefully it isn't strong enough to really delay the rescue operation, but rescuers have been saying, authorities have been saying, that they are fully committed to getting the rest of these boys out. This, if anything, is just going to push them to do it more quickly.
Yeah, it's a great day, but to underline your point, there's still a lot of work to be done, reason for concern. 9 families worried about their children, and also the family, of course, of the coach, the 25-year-old coach who led them into that cave and has subsequently apologized for it. But
I'm not noticed. Try me. You're welcome.
They told us with the 4 weakest boys, they wanted to get them out first. And the fact that they were able to take the weakest boys and move ahead of schedule, that has to be a source of optimism. And I wonder if we can get you to talk.
I'll just pause this for a second. Yeah, this has been on my mind like crazy. Like crazy. So 4 of the boys have been successfully rescued. And they're being treated for dehydration, being malnourished, and any psychological issues that they endured. But, as you can tell, the rain's coming down. Although, I said from the beginning, and I was telling my husband, you guys all know I originated from Canada, right? Think about it, on all our coins there's a beaver. I was saying they need to build dams to stop the water from going in. I'm glad they're doing that now. My husband's like, that's hilarious. Like, you just said something that they figured out last minute. And I've been saying it from the start because that buys you more time. It doesn't always work. It's hard to do in a cave, obviously, that you don't have space to. But the less space, less material, if you really think about it. Although, you can't have the blockage when you're going to do a rescue. But the problem is time is of the essence. So, I'm so glad. Thank the Lord. God bless. 4 boys rescued. I'm still watching this. I wanted to post this earlier, but I had a lot of things to do. But yeah, 4 of the boys rescued. And like you hear them saying, because at first their plan was to take the strongest and the strongest children and see how that worked, type thing. Not to be like guinea pigs, but to give the weak more strength to, because they had 9 days without food and all that stuff. So give 9 days for them to get stronger. They're realizing that's not going to happen, okay? Because one has an intestinal infection. The coach is really sick and they don't know what happened. You got to remember too, once they started feeding them, this is sick to say, but now there's feces, urine. They're in a very secluded location. So you got to take that into accountability. So all that is, it'll make you sick. Legit. But let's continue on.
A little bit, James, since you've been on the scene from the very beginning of this story, about how the mood has shifted over these, in various ways, over the past 2 weeks.
Dan, it's been a real ride. You know, we arrived here very early on to a story where I think probably most of the kind of international types like us came here thinking, could they really find these boys in this enormous cave? We were told how big it was. It goes from here in Thailand, we're in the very northern part of the country, into Myanmar, another country. This cave system is enormous. So the idea that they would even find them at the very beginning was kind of ludicrous. But lo and behold, they did, and they even found them further inside the cave than they had originally anticipated. So there was great euphoria, but then it really did dawn on everyone in the camp just how difficult it was going to be to get these boys out. There was a really, really strong current. We saw images of rescue divers pulling themselves hand over fist along ropes to try to get themselves up that cave. 5-6 hours of diving for very fit, strong Navy SEALs. And then, of course, a few days ago, the sad death of one of those former Thai Navy SEAL rescue volunteers who had spent his time delivering oxygen tanks and air tanks into that cave to allow people to get further down. he ended up dying of a lack of oxygen. So I think at that point, that was probably the lowest it's been since the beginning of this whole.
And God bless that Thailand Navy SEAL who was retired. And there's a video of him on a plane. It's kind of like a private jet that he took. And said, I'm not coming back home until all those children are rescued. He's the one who delivered all the successful tanks into the cave days ago. And when he came back from his last trip, he didn't have enough oxygen and passed away. God bless him. And let's not forget him.
Situation. So it's a reminder really of how difficult this whole process has been, his death. And yes, as you say, a real ride. But hopefully we're seeing the end of it. But again, I mean, this rain, I think this is really a worry now.
Yeah, just the range of emotions that so many have endured, and they have to take a break, James, to pump more oxygen into the caves, and then they will resume trying to extract the remaining 8 boys and the soccer coach. But I just can't imagine what those families, James, thank you, I can't imagine what those families are going through right now. And we want to join Adrian Bankert, who's just outside of the local hospital.
I just want to add to this, think about that, okay? 4 boys rescued, 8 left behind, including the coach. Think about the families right now saying, why not my child? Why not? They're watching. They're there. There's a camp set up where they're watching it all happen. I just can't imagine. And I don't want one casualty. There's already been a casualty. There already has been. And it was that amazing Thai Navy SEAL diver who is the one who delivered all the oxygen into the cave and ran out of oxygen himself. So we can't forget about him, but you guys, the rain's here now. The rain's coming. So everyone that has a heart and involved in this story, this is when we got to start paying attention, okay? Because now the rain's here. They can't pump it out as fast as it's going to come. It's a monsoon. It's not like a normal rainstorm. It is going to pour. I'm not even going to say it for lack of better words. Anyways, let's continue.
There, we know 4 boys are at the hospital. And Adrian, what kind of treatment will they undergo once they're at the hospital?
Well, the 4 boys who are here on scene, we know they're on that 8th floor that we were told by officials has been reserved for all 13 who are coming out of that cave, and they will be reunited with family. The ones here, we suspect, already in their mothers and fathers and aunties and uncles' arms. We do know that they'll be undergoing complete medical evaluations besides what was done already for them in the staging area inside that cave. I mean, all along the way, they've had doctors and nurses and paramedics alongside of them. We saw from what officials have told us that they had a field hospital there at the cave site. James and Matt have been reporting on that. And then they were transported to an ambulance, which took them to the helicopter, which took them to another ambulance, which brought them right here to this hospital's doorstep. Now, we do know that they'll be checked for infections. There is a cave disease, as it's called, an airborne lung infection that is of concern just from them being inside that cave and the conditions there. The dampness of the cave, being around water so long and then being in the water, there are concerns that they may need to be tested and treated for any type of bacterial infection as a result of all of that. And just their mental and emotional state, being in the dark that long, throwing off circadian rhythms, being away from their families and friends, being away from a normal routine or exercise. I mean, these are young soccer players ages 11 to 16. Imagine the energy that your son or nephew or cousin has, and that they're trapped inside this very enclosed space for 2 weeks straight. It was already mentioned that this coach really has been adding to the camaraderie and the hopefulness of the team, really keeping these young boys alive and alert. But they will be treated, if any of them have post-traumatic stress disorder, which doctors have told us is certainly possible, where they'll have nightmares or be concerned about being in close.
Just to let you guys know, I know a little bit about PTSD because mine started, but got worse because life happens, right? But my father passed away when I was 11. I can't explain, I'm not going to go in details. I can't explain to you how life flip-flopped so hard. And it was so hard, like, to understand, but you're going through the motions and stuff, but it will psychologically really affect you. So when I hear these boys are 11, oldest 16, but that's one 16-year-old, that doesn't matter either. But 11-year-olds and all that, do you know that's like crucial? Look it up, psychology-wise. Look it up. That is crucial to changing who they were like meant to be. It's psychologically. So I pray these young boys just have that courage. Hi, Monica. But I pray these young boys have that courage to overcome this. But I'll be staying in tune because there's 8 boys left behind and the coach. And I know everyone wants to blame the coach, right? The coach led them in there. Why would the coach do that? Everybody always wants a scapegoat, someone to blame when there's a tragedy. So he was actually trying to bond his football team, which is soccer, his football team together, do like a bonding trip. He made a mistake. We all make mistakes, let's face it. We're going to crucify this man? Come on, let's not do that. This is what's wrong with the world. There always has to be everyone to blame, right? Blame this person, blame that person, blame this, blame that. No, that's not right. But let's continue to listen.
Spaces or fearful of the dark. But again, they'll be all treated here on that 8th floor and reunited with their families. And that is a good thing. Paula and Dan?
Absolutely, but we can't say it enough. There are 8 more children in there yet to be rescued along with their coach, Adrian Bankert, outside the hotel in Chiang Rai. We appreciate it. And this image really underscores the poignancy and the team nature of this rescue effort. It's a picture put out on Facebook by the Royal Thai Navy SEALs with the caption, "We, both the Thai and international teams, will bring out the wild boar team." The soccer team, they're the wild boars. We'll bring them back home, Huya. The wild boars, 8 of them still in that cave tonight. There are 18 divers who participated in today's rescue, 13 foreigners, 5 Thai Navy SEALs. And so let's go back to Matt Gutman to talk a little bit, Matt, if you would, about what a team effort this is, what an international effort this is.
Okay, see how this was live and just legit 5 minutes ago? This man that's in Thailand was getting drizzled on. You see how soaking wet he is now? That's it. Once the rain comes, it's coming. So it's like, I'm so glad for the 4 boys. Now we got to pray for the 8. Seriously, I'm like not kidding. Pray for the 8 boys and the coach. Okay? 9 more people need to be rescued.
You know, we focus on the divers a lot, and we talk about those 13 divers who physically escorted, or 13 foreigners who physically escorted those boys out of the cave, or at least the first 4. But really, this has been a massive Herculean effort by so many others. There are 90 total divers involved in today's rescue alone, 50 of them foreigners, so that's a large number. But also, we've had people from all over the world just physically haul gas tanks, air tanks, all the way into the cave. There are people who have laid rope across. There are communications set up from places like Israel. There are divers from Finland and Belgium and Holland and England and the United States. So it has really, truly been an international effort. And one of the things they have to commend the Thai authorities for, they have not been ashamed about asking for help. They have taken everybody in. They have invited us in as if we are their own family. And everybody with whom I've spoken has said that the atmosphere here has been just incredible, so participatory and accepting, that they have really, I mean, obviously it's been incredibly difficult work for them, but they have felt like they are part of this Thai family. And just to be able to cap it off, at least with those first 4 rescues, has been tremendous for so many of those involved here.
Yeah, the international community is certainly rejoicing. This has been an inspiring and collaborative effort. But Matt, it is dark where you are. It's almost midnight in Thailand. And the Thai officials said that they are going to take a break, about a 10 to 20 hour break from extracting the remaining boys and their soccer coach. Can you explain to everyone at home why that's necessary?
I think because they had so many people involved in this rescue, it literally was the final push. They threw everything at this they had, but they also expended a tremendous amount of resources. So, as James mentioned, there are enormous amount of pumps pushing water out, millions of gallons at a time. There are divers who are spent, they're tired, and they have literally posted hundreds of air tanks along the route for the divers and their teams around them, multiple people to use as they go through. And one diver described it to me as like climbing Mount Everest. It is so physically exerting. And today we spent an hour in a cave that was similar to it, minus the water, and within 5 minutes I was huffing and puffing. So they're going through air at a tremendous pace. They've got to build back their stockpile of those air tanks. They're pumping in gas as well, oxygen, to try to make sure that the other boys and their coach are ready for this journey, and they probably want to do it without the rain and without all this mud and the darkness, so even the people who are in support roles outside the cave don't have to suffer through these conditions as well. So the key goal right now is not only to get the boys out, but to get them out safely. There are so many pitfalls in that cave, and I think after today's success, they want to take it slowly. But again, from the start, they told us this could take 3 to 4 days, and we hope it doesn't, but I think they are willing to take that time if they feel like they need it.
It's a Herculean task, and the camaraderie, the cooperation, really the best of humanity on display here. Matt Gutman, our thanks to you and the rest of the team covering this story in Chiang Rai. We want to promise you that we here at ABC News.
Okay, guys, so that's the update right now. So they have found them and just need to get them out. Yeah, Monica, what happened was, so they were in there for 9 days. They started off on bikes, and it was supposed to be like a group bonding mission for the football players, which is soccer players. And the coach was doing a bonding with the boys. And then they decided to do the cave. They go in the cave. This cave, the coach did not know. It's like no one's ever touched the cave. It hasn't been, they have a word for it. I can't think of it now. It's where they evaluate the cave and all that kind of stuff. Well, there's always underground waters, right? That run underground. As you're going through the cave, in the beginning, it starts off straight. Then you actually have to step up, like you have to crawl up, because it goes all the way up, which they were doing. And then you have to go all the way down and all the way up again. Then you have to go shoulder to stomach to crawl through this tiny little space. Okay, they were like, that's enough. They're about to go back. It started filling with water. Quickly. So all the coach can do is say, push forward, push. Let's go forward. Went all the way to the end. Over 3 miles. All the way to the end of the cave. There's no way out. They got stuck. Finally, the moms were like, where are our kids? Where are our kids? Someone's seen the bikes. They didn't know they were going to go there. It was kind of spontaneous with the cave part. So, thank God, a hiker ends up seeing the bikes, a bunch of bikes, outside this cave. Reports it. They put 2 and 2 together. They get a cave diver in there to find out, yes, they're in there. That's after 9 days of them being in there. They were able to dive on the 10th day and give them food. And now it's been, oh Lord, I think it's their 16th day in there, 15th? I could be mistaken. 15th or 16th day. Now, they thought, just like, think about the Chilean miners, okay? In Chile, once they found them, it took them a month and a half to get them out because they wanted to drill. But it's the same rock. It's that lime rock, okay? You can't drill. And they found out it's a monsoon. So the rain's going to start pouring today, which it's already started. So they had, once they found them, they had 3 days to try to figure out a plan to get them out. One of their most experienced divers was putting an oxygen in there to help the rescue. He died. So the most experienced divers can't even do this. And they were saying, and none of these kids can swim. That's the thing. None of the kids can swim. They're all malnourished. It's, the coach is very, very sick. They don't know what he has. It's a very small contained area they're in. And, also, now that they're starting to give them food, the feces and urine and stuff like that, they're worried about it. Like, they are literally going to have to sit in their own feces and stuff like that, which will get you very ill. But, so finally, they got, after all these days watching this, they got 4 kids out successfully. They managed to keep their heads above water as much as they could. Rushed them to the hospital. One child had to be flown out by helicopter to a hospital. They thought they would take out the most healthiest kids first and hope that the others would get strength by eating in the cave, and they're realizing this is not happening. So there's 8 left. 8 children left in that cave right now, but it's pouring rain. The monsoon has started. So it's pouring rain, and the coach is still in there, and the coach is very sick. So, yeah, that's where we're at now. And we just gotta, I've been obsessed, like, watching this and praying and praying. I'm telling you, though, let's give prayers out because it will make a difference. I believe that anyhow. So, yeah, Monica, that's the story about what's going on with these children and their coach. The youngest is 11. The oldest is 16. Most are 11. Some are 12. Can you imagine? And if you actually see video of where they are stuck, legit. And they went so under the earth and so far into this cave, they've actually crossed, like, well, I could just say, like, in the States, it would be like you cross state lines. That's how far the cave was. Miles and miles and miles. So, they have the best dive cave rescue there. One's already passed away trying to rescue them. But 4 children successfully got out. 8 still in there. Coach still in there. Problem now is the rain has come, and that was their deadline. They don't have time. They can't pump the water fast enough as the water's going to come in right now, but they're going to try. So overnight, we got to see what goes on, and hopefully they all get out. But anyways, so pray for Thailand cave rescue. That's all I have to say. I've been worried about it like crazy. Can't stop thinking about it. Love you guys. Monica, I have to say you had one of the most powerful lives I've ever seen. I do believe too that. I do believe, Monica. So, honestly, you guys, pray. I made a video on my main page. You know, I have to switch pages because I can't go live on some. Pray. Just pray for these children. There's 8 children left. 4 got out. That's amazing. There's still 8 in there. And the coach. So 9 people need to get rescued, and the rain's here now. The monsoon is here. So let's just pray, pray, pray. Monica, your life is so powerful. I need to tell you that. You need to write a book. I'm not kidding you. I feel it in my soul. You can help so many people with your story. I just want to mention that. Not to put you out there. I'm so sorry. Hi, Kelly. But yeah, you guys. So that's it. I just want to update you guys on this. Since on my main page, I'm always talking about it. Just passionate about it. Love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. And you know how it is. They're in Thailand. So all the action is going to happen overnight. So let's pray and watch out for everything. And the rain is still coming down. Okay, love you guys. Oh, sorry. Hold on. I never know how to close this stupid thing. Hey, guys. Sorry.